made. Right. We know order. Will the member wishing to take their seats please come to the table?
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
Sarah Pochin. Welcome to Parliament.
Thank you very much.
As we said, see, start with.
Right, we start with questions. Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, Jack Rankin.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We expect all women to be shown the utmost care and respect when receiving maternity and neonatal care. This year's planning guidance requires ICBs and providers to deliver the key actions in this final year of NHS England's 3-year delivery plan. But from listening to the harrowing stories of bereaved and harmed families, it's clear we must do more. Secretary of State is urgently considering the significant action needed to ensure that all women and babies receive the care they deserve.
Jack Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year's birth trauma inquiry report exposed that maternity services in this country are woefully underfunded. Now the Health Secretary intends to cut the budget for maternity improvements from 95 million to just 2 million. That equates to under £4 per child born in this country per year. What kind of change is that? What message does this send to mothers across this country, and does he plan to implement any of the birth trauma inquiry's report recommendations, many of which were committed to by the previous government?
Minister.
What did you do?
The honourable gentleman is not correct. Maternity funding is not ring-fenced in the same level. I think that's what he's referring to, but it's absolutely being committed to as far as ICB allocations, and local leaders will decide how best to allocate that money. And we will continue to work with Donna Ockenden and the families of previous incidents and make sure that the recommendations of her report and the maternity review is fully implemented.
Jen Craft.
Mr. Speaker. As colleagues will be aware, one of the key consistencies across failings in maternity units is a failure to listen to women and to put their experiences and quite often their pain during childbirth at the heart of driving improvement. So what assurances can the Minister give that women's experiences and voices will be at the heart of any maternity improvement strategy that the Government focuses on?
Minister.
She's absolutely right to highlight, and that's been found out in all the reviews that have been undertaken. It's completely unacceptable. That's why my honourable friend, the Right Honourable friend, the Secretary of State, has continued to meet with families and hear those experiences to make sure that we learn from those, that we continue to support the implementation of those reviews, and crucially we make sure that women's voices are taken forward as part of our 10-year plan.
So, Secretary of State, Erdogan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I fear many will have found the Minister's answer to my honourable friend disappointing. He highlighted that the last government committed to the headline recommendation of the cross-party birth trauma inquiry led by the honourable member for Canterbury and by the former member for Stafford, Theo Clark, who's recently written about her experiences in a book and in the Mail calling for a national maternity improvement strategy. No equivalent commitment has been made by this government. So can we try again? And will the Minister commit without any equivocation to implementing the recommendation of the inquiry to produce a national maternity improvement strategy?
Minister.
To be clear to the Shadow Secretary of State, that my Right Honourable friend, the Secretary of State, is continuing to look at all of those and consider how best to respond.
Right, we come to the Liberal Democrat spokesperson, Helen Morgan.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Too many families in Shropshire have suffered the agonising loss of losing a baby following the scandal at Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital Trust. And with the CQC rating 65% of trusts as inadequate or requiring improvement for maternity safety, and the taxpayer forking out a staggering £1.15 billion in compensation for maternity failings last year, can the Secretary of State or the Minister describe how she can reassure us that with the £100 million that was put aside particularly to deal with unsafe staffing, with it no longer being ring-fenced, can she assure us that those safe staffing levels will remain in our maternity wards?
Minister.
Well, I know this is an issue that the spokesperson for Liberal Democrats follows very closely in her own local community. We are absolutely committed, as I think she knows and understands, to making sure that the recommendations of the reviews are fully implemented as part of that 3-year plan. But can I just gently say to the Honourable Lady that her party has consistently opposed the extra £26 billion that this government raised to support the wider health service. Without that extra funding and the decisions that the Chancellor made, we would not be able to make the progress that we are now starting to see.
Jessica Turner.
Question number 2, Mr Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And despite my best efforts, can I welcome the member for Runcorn and Helsby to her place? Being a Member of Parliament is a privilege, and I know how special it is to sit on these benches, having been sent here by constituents, and regardless of political differences, wish her well personally. Mr Speaker, with permission, I'd like to take questions 2 and 14 together. Mr Speaker, as part of our 10-year plan for health, we want to deliver a real shift in the centre of gravity in the NHS so that people get more care closer to home, indeed in their home too. The NHS has much a neighbourhood health service as a national health service. We've already made progress in shifting care to the community, £889 million more in funding for GPs, agreeing the GP contract for the first time since the pandemic, and recruiting over 1,500 GPs onto the front line. Our 10-year plan will set out how we will continue to transform the NHS into a neighbourhood health service.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm deeply concerned about the quality of healthcare for people experiencing homelessness in my constituency, Bournemouth West. Health Bus, a local charity, is doing great work to get out into the community, to treat people where they are and prevent them from getting into hospitals. But they are not getting the funding they need and have discovered serious discrepancies in the way the local ICB commissions services, particularly for health inequalities. So can the Secretary of State tell me how this government is prioritising health outcomes for people experiencing homelessness, and will he meet with me and Health Bus to discuss how we can support their important work?
Secretary of State.
Mr Speaker, it was the founding mission of the NHS to always be there for people when they need it, so that whenever they fall ill, they never have to worry about the bill. And unfortunately, too many people in our country today experience that fear that Nye Bevan sought to eradicate, thanks to the disaster and the failures of 14 years of Conservative government. As my honourable friend would expect, tackling health inequalities for homeless people and other vulnerable groups is absolutely central to the values of this Labour government, and those values will be reflected in our 10-year plan for health, and I'd be delighted to hear further from her on what we can do to improve services in her area.
Your plan.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And I want to thank the Minister for his announcement this morning regarding GP services. And one way pressure is eased in our GP services is through organisations like Compassion in Action. It's a charity in my constituency that provides non-clinical whole-person care. So they receive GP referrals across Lee and align with the government's aim to shift care from hospitals to communities. So will the Minister join me in thanking the staff and founder Pam Gilligan and agree to come for a tour to see the facilities and to see firsthand the impact that they have?
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I wholeheartedly join her in thanking Pam and everyone at Compassion in Action for the work that they do. I think at the heart of this government's approach to health is a recognition that government action is essential for improving health outcomes in our country, but government acting alone will not be sufficient. That's why working with the voluntary sector, working with employers, working with trade unions, community groups, and actually all of us as individual citizens is vital for tackling health inequalities and improving care in our country. And I'd be delighted to make sure that one of the team comes to visit as soon as we possibly can.
Stuart Anderson, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Community hospitals can reduce pressure on major hospitals, especially in rural communities like mine. Will the Secretary of State lay out his plans of how he intends to support community hospitals in South Shropshire?
Secretary of State.
Well,